active in the streets. The Harpies have multiple sects and cliques repping the Harpies' identity and have multiple streets. The Harpies even share some of their turf with the 20 Bloods and a rolling 30 Crips. Some of Harpies' main rivals have been 18th Street, which they have been beefing with for decades. The Harpies also beef with gangs like MS13, Easy Riders, Tiny Criminal 13, and many more. To tell you this story, I'm going to have to take you back a little. But with that being said, let's get into some cases. September 6, 1980. 3 men from 18th Street were killed by members of the Harpies gang. 4 days later, on September 18th, 18th Street members were trying to get it back in blood. They put up on Harpy's turf, causing commotion in the area. A couple who lived on the second floor in an apartment building named Michael and Dora heard the noise and what sounded like gunshots. Michael went to his balcony to see what the commotion was about, but walking to the balcony, he caught a headshot that took his life. Neighbors would see then 3 men jump in a van and drive off. A few months later, Rocky from 18th Street was picked up, and in jail he was going around telling other inmates he was involved with the killing of a Harpy. Raymond, another 18th Street member, was telling people he was the actual shooter, and Rocky wasn't. I guess he wanted credit for it. Raymond told people that Rocky was just a decoy. He sent Rocky out the bus car windows to bring the Harpies outside, which he shot the first person who came out, and that was Michael, who went to his balcony. Only thing, Michael wasn't a Harpy, or a gang member. Raymond killed an innocent person. Raymond wanted the credit, and the asshole got it. He was credited 27 years to life. 3 a.m. on July 8th, 1990. A woman named Captain heard from her apartment building on Adams and Magnolia yelling and screaming. She looked out her window to see a group of 12 Harpies chasing a man named Leonidas to a lot, where the group of 12 beat the hell out of Leonidas. Captain seen a man later identified as a Harpy member named Spider stabbing Leonidas till he fell. Leonidas was stabbed 13 times, which he died from. Leonidas was said to be drunk and walked up on a group of 12 Harpies and started dissing them. This led to Spider thinking he was a butcher and started chopping Leonidas' ass up. Spider was later received 15 years to life. On July 25th, 1993, 2 women, Kathy and Cynthia, met with 2 Harpy members, Toy and Rascal, to go to a restaurant called Beef Bowl on Figueroa and 30th Street. At the restaurant, Toy and Rascal was tripping on everybody inside. They walked up to Arnold and Juan, who were sitting in the back of the restaurant, and banged on them. Arnold and Juan let them know that they didn't bang and that they didn't want any problems. Toy and Rascal was still tripping. They went to the car to get their straps, but on the outside they would get into an altercation with another man named Enrique. This would all lead to a fight, but this also led up to a shootout. Rascal was shot, and Enrique died in front of the restaurant. Rascal and Toy were later picked up after being identified by several witnesses. Rascal told the police that Enrique came with another man, and they were gang members. This led to an altercation, which Rascal said Enrique fired first, and that's why he was shot 3 times. They wanted to make an example out of them. Toy ended up getting charged with the shooting and was sentenced to death. With decades of terrorizing the streets, the city and the police wanted to take down the Harpies, and by 1997, they filed a gang injunction against the Harpies. It was official by 2000. This injunction vowed to stop the Harpies and all its doings in the streets. It included many top members like Little Scrappy, Lucky, Lonely Boy, Stumper, Spanky, Termite, Bully, Bullet, Shorty, Casper, and Cisco, and dozens of others. This injunction limited them to association with each other, being in public places, and a list of other things. But this injunction wouldn't stop the Harpies. Jose, Jermaine, Freddie, Manny, and several others were hanging out on Orchard Avenue in Easy Riders' turf. The group was from a tagging crew called S4M. A Toyota Camry drove slowly on Orchard Avenue and yelled out "Cheese Riders" and aired out the crowd. Jose was shot in the head and lost his life. He was only 13. Another man named Jose was at the scene, and he recognized the shooter as Ivan from Harpies, but Jose wouldn't tell the police until 3 years later, when another shooting happened on Orchard Street, where a man named Freddie was killed. Jose was questioned about Freddie's death, and Jose told the police, "I only know about one shooting." Jose told the police about Ivan shooting 13-year-old Jose in 2003, and he picked Ivan out of a lineup. Ivan was picked up, and his own baby mama Cindy ratted him out. She told the police that Ivan told her he shot Jose. She even picked him out as the shooter, and also identified him in the lineup. Ivan would say this was completely false. At trial, Cindy would recant her statements and say she was only saying this because she was mad that Ivan cheated on her. What a slimeball thought. Even though she recanted her statements, Ivan was still on trial, and he was told on by several other witnesses. Ivan was sentenced to 60 years to life. On April 9th, 2004, Raina was driving with her friend Abraham. Neither one of them belonged to a gang, but Abraham had on a blue Dodger hat. While driving back home, they will be on the side of a black SUV. A man from the SUV raised down his window and asked where Abraham was from. Out of fear, Raina drove off. This led to a chase down. The SUV chased Raina to her home, which she panicked and crashed into a parked car. This pinned them in. The man in the SUV hopped out his car and ran to the passenger door where Abraham was. He said, "I asked you where was you from?" Before Abraham could say a word, he was shot in the head, taking his life. Raina's mom was waiting outside and seen everything. Both Raina and her mom picked a Harpy member named Alex out of a lineup. 4 months later, Alex tried to flee to Mexico, but was arrested at the border. Alex told the police a dumbass lie. Alex told the police that he loaned his car to a dude that looked exactly like him. And he said the only reason why he fled to Mexico, because he was going to be falsely accused of the shooting. I mean, I don't know what his dumbass was thinking, like he really wasn't going to get away with that. Alex ended up being sentenced to life. August 17th, 2004, a man named Paul was killed, supposedly by the Harpies, but his cousin Marcos wasn't going for that. Just the next month, Marcos, who was from Rockwood 13, drove around looking for Harpies to get back for his cousin Paul. He turned on Catalina on 23rd Street, where he seen multiple men chilling on the street. Marcos jumped out and started shooting. He yelled out, "That's what y'all get." One man died named Michael. 5 years later, Marcos went Looney Tunes. Bro was in a crazy house and being observed for several of his actions. Police caught Marcos running in traffic, dodging cars, and yelling the Mexican Mafia trying to kill me. They're after me. Police just took him back to the crazy home though. But on July 7th, 2009, Marcos went to the police station and he told the police he did 3 shootings. Marcos was trying to be a Harpy's assassin. All 3 different shootings he did led to Harpy's being shot. Marcos' brain was so fried he couldn't even remember the events around the shootings, but all he said that he did them. Marcos received 25 to life. Around 6 p.m. on January 11, 2005, Marvin was sitting in his parked car on Northern Avenue talking to his friend William. There was another parked car on the street full of Harpy members. One of them got out the car. His name was Enrique. Enrique ran up on Marvin and William and yelled, "Y'all from MS13?" which both of them denied being from. Enrique then snatched Marvin's chain off his neck. Then Enrique yelled out to all his homies, "They from MS13. All the Harpy members hopped out the car and began to whoop William's ass. Marvin drove off, which Enrique shot up his car. Enrique was later picked up the same night. Enrique told the police that MS13 members beat up his cousin and he wanted revenge. So when he seen 2 MS13 members being Marvin and William, he knew he had the chance. Enrique fired 6 shots, but didn't hit a damn thing, but he still was sentenced to life. September 2006, Kenny, an MS13 member, got into an altercation with a Harpy's member. About a week later, Jesse and his friend DS were chilling in the alley when Kenny popped up in the alley and yelled, "Where y'all from?" and started shooting, taking Jesse's life. In December, Kenny was picked up and denied being the shooter. He even blamed other members of his gang as being the shooters, which wasn't true. DS picked him out as the shooter. Kenny received 50 to life. October 29th, 2006, Manuel, Freddie, and Juan were outside a liquor store. They were from the tagging crew S4M. A black Nissan pulled up and yelled out, "Where y'all from?" Manuel said, "This is S4M. Shots then flew. Freddie lost his life. In July of 2007, while under arrest for a separate charge, George from Harpy would admit to the shooting, saying he did it in response to his brother and friend being shot. George received 25 to life. April 29th, 2009, Jay and his 2 cousins were chilling at his apartment on Westmoreland Avenue. They see 2 Hispanic men hop out of the car and walk their way. The 2 men got up on him and asked Jay where was he from. Jay responded by saying El Salvador. The 2 men said, "But what gang?" Jay responded by saying none, was then shot 6 times, which left permanent damage. A witness seen the whole thing and 2 men running and seen them jump into a white truck, which gave a plate number and later picked them out of a photo lineup. The white truck was registered to an address on West 31st Street. Police went to the house where they found bullets, scraps, and things representing Harpies. The suspected shooter was Scrappy, and him and his whole family was Harpies, including his dad and his brother. Scrappy denied anything to do with the shooting, and said there was no way possible he could have did it because he was at his auntie's party. But his statement switched multiple times. He then said he couldn't have did it because he had car seats in his car and another person couldn't have fit. Scrappy's last statement was that a man named Shaggy did it, and that Shaggy made him drive away by gunpoint. Scrappy couldn't stick to a lie, so now his lying ass is sticking to prison for the rest of his life. Eric was from Mid-City Stoners. He lived with his girlfriend Brenda in 18th Street's turf, which Mid-City had beef with. Brenda's family member Ryan, who was from 18th Street, came over to their house one day. This led to Eric shooting Ryan in the head, taking his life. Eric began to be on the run, and he hid out at his side piece house. He called up his homie Jesus one day, and they went to a Harpy business ran by a man named Rocky. Rocky was an OG Harpy. He was also Scrappy dad from the last case. Inside the business, Jesus would get into an altercation with Rocky, which led to Rocky wanting to run a fade, and they went outside. Rocky then told the other Harpies inside the place to grab straps. Jesus and Eric tried to leave, but the Harpies threw bottles at their car and tried to prevent them from leaving. Jesus started shooting, and Eric must have thought he was Suge Knight, because he started running people over, and he hit Rocky, and he hit Rocky's other son. He killed Rocky and seriously damaged Rocky's son. Jesus and Eric were later picked up, and Jesus was sentenced to 30 years. Eric received life for killing Ryan in an incident against the Harpies. 2012, feds wrapped a 2-year investigation against the Harpies called Operation Roman Empire, named after OG Harpy member Danny Roman, who was doing a life sentence for a murder in 1982. He was a Mexican mafia member, still controlling his gang behind jail. The indictment named 29 people who participated in robberies, extortion, selling drugs, and murder. On May 1st, 2013, Danny Roman's daughter, Vienna Roman, pleaded guilty to racketeering charges, narcotics, and weapons. Following a plea agreement, Vienna admitted that she acted as a consultant for her father's orders as he exercised control over the Harpies gang from jail. 2020, Danny Roman was stabbed to death in prison by 2 other Mexican mafia members, ending his reign in power. This will conclude this episode. If you haven't already, make sure you check out my previous videos. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.